How's it going, guys? It's another Saturday. That means it's time for another movie stop. So, today I have only one movie that I picked up that I got this week. It's a movie that should have come to me about 2 weeks ago, but this has been the problem with Best Buy the last couple of weeks. Every time I pre-order a new Steelbook or a new movie that's supposed to come out on a specific date, it always comes 2 weeks afterwards. But today, Fast 9 finally came to me after, like I said, 2 weeks of release. The Fast 9 Steelbook is in my hands, and I now have it in my collection, and at least it's better than Fate of the Furious was. Like, to me, Fate of the Furious was the worst of the Fast and Furious movies. This one, at least, was more fun. At least this one accepted the fact that it wasn't trying to take itself seriously at all. It was over the top. It was fun, except for the ending, which they retcons a certain person's death, which I don't know how they're going to bring this back in the next two Fast and Furious movies. I thought this was supposed to end after the next movie. Apparently there's 2 movies coming out now, but anyway, Fast 9. Not the best of the Fast and Furious movies, but like I said, it's at least more enjoyable than Fate of the Furious was, so that was the one new release I got this week, although I looked on my Best Buy website, and it said that the other 2 Steelbooks I ordered, which I'll show you the next time around, if not in a Daily Network video, they're on their way, so next week's actually a pretty big week because Space Jam: A New Legacy comes out on Blu-ray, and I've gotten more than a couple copies of that on the way, so I'll delve more into that when I get them all in. But other than that, I did see one new movie this week. It wasn't Venom. It wasn't Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I'm just not interested in that movie, despite what everyone's been saying. I mean, I didn't like the first movie all that much, but like I said, I'm not interested in seeing it right now. I probably will at some point, but it's just not for me. But the one movie I did want to see that came out this week was The Addams Family 2, which is the sequel to the 2019 film, the CG animated film, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a great movie overall, but I had fun with it. And I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the live-action movies. I think the live-action movies are the gold standard in terms of Addams Family movies. I think the biggest problem with the last Addams Family movie that I saw was that the Addams Family aren't as macabre, or as they don't act like the way you expect the Addams Family to in that movie. Even though they have great voice actors attached to them, like Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron and Nick Kroll and Chloe Grace Moretz. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not a great movie, but I did have some fun with it. I wish the Addams Family were more like they were in the original movies, or in the TV series. Like, they don't really act like what they're supposed to act like in that original movie. But like I said, I did enjoy the movie. There were some elements in there. There was a lot of elements in there I did like. And with a sequel coming, you would think that, okay, the sequel's coming. They've heard the complaints from people. Maybe, I don't know, try to do something a little bit differently than the first movie. You know, try to make it better. Try to make it feel like try to do what a good sequel does. Advance the characters. Advance the universe. Make these characters more like they're supposed to. And what did they do? They pretty much did everything they did in the first movie. No, seriously, it's just the first movie all over again. I mean, nothing really changes. The characters don't really act that differently. I mean, they're pretty much the same characters they were in the last movie. The story isn't really all that inventive. It's not very creative. The humor isn't even as good. There are times when it can be funny, but for the most part, I really came out of this very disappointed. Like, I should have known, because this is a computer animated film that's a sequel that's coming out 2 years after the first movie, which you don't usually do that. Like, usually, with a CG animated sequel, it usually takes about maybe 3 or 4 years if you're going to get a really good movie. Like Shrek 2 was, I think, 3 years after the first movie. Toy Story 2 was 4 years after the first movie. Hell, Toy Story 3 was like 11 years after the sequel. But, yeah, I don't think there's... I might be wrong here. I don't think I've ever seen a CG animated sequel come out 2 years after the first movie. I'm not talking about animated sequels like the Pokemon sequels that came out after the first movie in the 90s, or something like that. But as far as I know, there isn't anyone's like that where you have a sequel to a CG animated film coming 2 years, not even 2 years after the first movie came out. It's, like I said, it's usually about 3 years plus, and maybe that's part of the problem here. I think maybe they rush the sequel out as quickly as they can Probably because they think that if they put it out in time for Halloween, it's going to make some money at the box office. Which, I mean, it's not the worst idea. I mean, it's a decent idea, but what are you really getting out of it in the end? As far as a movie itself, you're not really getting enjoyment out of it. You're just getting something that's going to make a quick buck here, and I think that's what they went with here. Because, like, I wanted to like this movie. I know a lot of people got on me because I said I liked the last movie, which the last movie was good. Like, it's good. It could have been a lot better, but I don't think it was as bad as everyone says it was. This one, they really didn't do anything new or creative with it. They just took a story that's been rehashed over and over again. Let's take these characters on a vacation around the country, and usually you save that for like the third or fourth movie or something like that in the series. But they just did this right in the next movie, and you would. But like I said, this idea of taking these characters that are really bizarre and weird looking and taking them out of putting them in like out of their normal lifestyle and bringing them into our normal lifestyle, which it really isn't a bad idea. Like, that's one of the things that I liked about the Addams Family live action movies, is that when they took them out of their typical home and put them into the real world, you get these funny concepts and funny elements that actually add to some of the better elements of the film. Like Addams Family Values, the fact that they went to a summer camp, they took the kids to this normal summer camp and they completely turn it upside down. That's hilarious. Like, a lot, and even in the last movie they did some of that. Not a whole lot, but when it worked, it worked. But here, they just don't make it work. Like, you have some decent writers on here, people who legitimately have written decent stuff. Like Ben Queen is one of the writers on this. He also created the very underrated show, which now I can't remember the title of it. A to Z is what it was called. I just remembered it after I stopped recording. And he made Cars 3, which at least was better than Cars 2, I guess. And you have Susanna Fogel, who also wrote Booksmart, which was one of my favorite movies from a couple years ago. So they have decent writers here. They have people who know what they're doing, but they just aren't delivering a solid movie here. Like, it really just feels like they're just rehashing stuff and just not even trying to do anything clever with it. Like, they aren't really... Like, there's no thrill here. Like, you're watching this, you're waiting for something interesting to happen, you're waiting for something funny to happen. The best stuff that happens in this movie, you probably already saw in the trailer already. Like, you saw the scene... It's like when Wednesday throws the voodoo doll into Niagara Falls and Pugsley flies in there. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, honestly. It was very funny, very creative. And sadly, you don't get a whole lot of that in this movie. I'm very disappointed by the outcome of this. I wanted it to be better than I thought. I wanted it to be better. Like, I wanted to see how they expanded this world, and they didn't really do a whole lot with it. I don't think it's one of the worst movies of the year, but it's definitely one of the more underwhelming films of the year, to say the least. Like, I really wanted it to be as enjoyable as the first movie, or even take it to another level than the first movie did. The first CG movie, I mean, not the first 90s movie. Like, the 90s movies, like I said, they're the gold standards of Addams Family movies, but I wanted this to be just as good or better than the last movie that came out, but it really isn't. Like, it really doesn't feel like they're trying their best to put together a decent film. And I think that really hurts them a lot. I think the movie will do well because they did place it in Halloween time. So it'll keep making money over the next couple of weeks. But other than that, it's really forgettable, man. Like, it's a really bland, forgettable movie. Like, I already forgot about it as soon as I watched it. And I only watched this about 2-3 hours at the time of recording this, which was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. But yeah, it just wasn't. I did not enjoy this movie all that much. I wanted it to be better, but it just wasn't. It was a bland, mediocre film. I guess maybe for a rental, it's a low rental, it's fine. But other than that, just watch the other movies. Like I said, just go watch the '90s Addams Family movies and watch the 2019 film. I think you get a better film experience out of those movies than you will out of this movie. So yeah, avoid Addams Family 2 like the plague, pretty much. Other than that, that's about it. So thank you guys for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Daily Network video. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button right here. Take a look at the previous video below, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So until next time I see you, take care.